Hi, my name's David Cole and I'm Technical Director of Samfield Penstock Solutions, and I'm going to talk to you about spill containment solutions. Well, what are spill containment solutions? There's so many really, it's an endless subject to ask about, but what you're looking at is, in the event of an incident, you have control of that particular incident, so you can contain it, keep it on site, so there is no environmental impact event or a prosecution which come from pollution. Okay, so it's always a strange subject because there is no one size fits all. So what you have to understand is, what is the potential risk? If you understand the potential risk, what is the solution? And the solution could be very simple. If it's an area, a small area, and you've got just one particular risk that you can control, it could be something really, really simple. It could be so simple that you've just got a bucket that could sit something in, problem solved. Or it can be really complex, where you need to have a fully automated control system. So I think the range in costs can be from just a few pounds up to tens of millions of pounds, depending on the size of your business and what the risk element is. And I think also a really important area is you also have to understand what the impact of a pollution event could be. So if you're quite a small business and your potential is quite a low level spillage event, potentially a pollution event if your factory did burn down, you have to look at the size of the business. If it's a huge business with a global brand, you have to look at a pollution event which causes a load of fish to die or an impact on the environment and public health. A pollution event for a large company can damage your brand and your reputation for many, many years. So really, when we look at spill containment and what system is right for an individual customer, it's not that easy, because what you have to understand first of all is, what is the actual potential risk? You've got to carry out a risk assessment. You've got to understand what they're trying to achieve and what they intend to achieve. So for one company, it could be that there is very little risk, but they're a huge, massive company. But it could be a small company with a particular chemical or something on site that really is harmful to the environment. So every site is completely different and needs to be done in isolation. So when we start to look at appropriate solutions, it again is, you've got to look at the business, you've got to look at their risk, you've got to understand what they're trying to achieve. It all depends on what actually could be the consequences of a disaster. How much of a risk is that disaster? One of the things that we always look at is, which I find interesting, is we've got some sites that actually have deliveries. So one of the first things to do with these sites is they go, right, we're going to have a delivery, so every time we have a delivery, we'll operate the containment system. It might be some of our valves, it might be putting out some mats over the top of some drain covers. What you then have to look at is, if you're considering that risk is so high, maybe the investment should be in moving that process away from those particular risk areas. So I think anything that you do has to be looked upon as is, if you see the risk is very high, you should eliminate the risk. If you can't eliminate the risk, then you can look at your spill containment measures. Because sometimes there's too much focus on a spill containment, it's a nice fancy system, whereas it actually would be cheaper and more long-term effective to actually move the process to a safer zone. So I think when we look at pollution containment, we do, as a deliverer of pollution containment systems, we do go to some sites that have got definitely an overkill and some sites that are definitely underkill. In fact, what they've done is they've not really thought about it. They've recognised they've got a massive pollution problem, and their answer is, we'll just stick a spill kit in the corner and somebody can go and operate that. Nobody's really thought about how that would be implemented. They've just done it, and it ticks a box. The regulator doesn't turn up, nobody really asks the question, they just keep ticking it off as, we've got a containment system in place, it's all working. But then on the other extreme, there are sites where they've actually implemented full bunding around a whole facility, which has actually increased their problem, because they've turned an area that was previously an area you could get into now a confined space, because it's got a 2 metre high wall all the way around it, which is technically an overkill, because the equipment inside it isn't really going to fail. It could fail, but no different to it could at any other site where they've got bulk storage. So there's sometimes, when you look at it, you've got to look at the risk, and the company has to decide at what level they sit at, because there can be an argument that spending no money at all will take the risk. I think that's probably a very high risk area to be at. There's other sites where they'll invest a huge amount of money in fully bundling a piece of equipment, which can seem extreme, but if they've got a brand or they've got a reputation to protect, then maybe that's the right way to go. So anybody wanting to look at this particular subject, first thing is do our 6-point checklist. Understand regulation. Understand how that regulation impacts your particular business. Carry out a full risk assessment. Don't scrimp on anything. Step 4, design the appropriate system. Deliver that appropriate system and install it. Monitor, maintain and document the system that you've installed and be prepared to change it and improve it as guidance improves over the years. So if you'd like to know more, please go to www.penstocksolutions.co.uk.